Okay, hi guys, once again, welcome back. Okay, so I've asked you on Google Classroom to please complete afdeling B of the 2019 paper that I put up yesterday. So yesterday we completed afdeling R. So if you haven't watched the video yet to mark it, please go through it first. Listen to the video. The feedback that I gave you there will really help you to understand how to answer the questions and so forth. But I'm pretty sure you did very well. Now we're going to concentrate on afdeling B, which we know is the summary. So summary is not very difficult. Really, this is an easy 10 marks that you can get. It shouldn't take you very long to do. And if you follow the instructions that I'm going to give you in this video, you'll really do it quite easily. Most of the summaries look similar in all the papers. They might just use certain words, and I'm going to give you those target things to look at to be careful to not lose marks, because it's easy to lose marks for something silly that you've done. But if you just follow the instructions given to you, then you can really do very well in this question, because everything is there for you. It's not really something you can study. Making a summary is more of a skill, so you have to practice it constantly. So we're going to do this one now, and then as soon as we're done with this paper, we'll do 2018's paper, and then we'll practice it again. But if you've practiced about 5 or 6 paper summary, you'll really be fine to do the summary section of the paper. It's very easy. So if you got it right, you've mastered the skill. This shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to complete. Really, it's very quick. You can even do it quicker than that if you've mastered the skill. Okay, so the summary will always be in question 4 of afdeling B. So they'll give you something that you are able to list. So some sort of list to help you do something. Apply makeup, make a summary. Sometimes there are ways to make a summary that you have to make a summary on. How to write a paper, how to decorate your house, how to organize your classroom or cupboard or whatever the case may be. So it will be something that you can actually list. The passage that you'll have to read will not be very long, because normally you'll have to list 5 things. So, for example, if you do cooking a meal, whatever meal, you'll have to list the ingredients or the strategy in 5 points. Okay, or maybe sometimes it is 7, depending on the examiner, but it will never be something else than that. So it'll always be 5 or 7 points that you have to list. Okay, so the most important thing, guys, is to really read your instructions. This will take you the longest time. So really go through instructions. They give you 2 sets of instructions, so you have to read both. Don't leave this out, because this will really, in the end, help you to not lose those silly marks, to get a 10 out of 10 because you've adhered to all the instructions. Sometimes they add an instruction that wasn't there in previous papers, and if you don't adhere to that, then you lose the marks, and you lose half of the marks, because the marks get deducted per fact that you mention. So really, guys, please read the instructions of the opsomming. It is very important. Don't think, oh, I've done 10 papers now, they've asked me for this, I'm just going to do this, I'm not going to read the instructions, because you never know that maybe that one time they've added a instruction in there that you didn't read, and then you lose half of the marks. Then instead of 10 out of 10, you get 5 out of 10. So already you've lost 5 marks in your paper that you really cannot afford. Cool. So let's read. So it says, lees die onderstaande text. That will probably be the first instructions to everything. Obviously, you have to read the text. Som dan die wenke, die 5 wenke om 'n goeie toespraak te skryf in jou eie woorde op. Okay, so you have to make a summary of how to write a speech in your own words. Own words, very important, guys. You can't quote directly from the piece. You have to put it in your own words. So somewhere in the sentence, you have to change something, change the sentence around. It's not difficult to put things in your own words. You can just scramble up the sentence a little bit so that it makes sense. Op en noem ook hoekom dit in jou toespraak sal verbeter. Okay, so you have to give the wenk, you have to give the instruction as well as why you should do this. So there must be a point and a reason. We must remember that in our own words. Begin elke keer met 'n werkwoord. This is now one of those things that they've put in that they've never put in a previous paper. So you have to start with a verb. You have to start with a verb. So if you didn't read the instructions, now you just gone, you see, oh, okay, this is ways to write a speech. I'm just going to write the ways and the reason. And you never started with a verb. For every sentence that you did not start with a verb, you lose 1 mark. So if you've already lost 5 marks and you haven't even started yet. Okay, so this is why I say, guys, you really, really have to read the instructions to make sure that you've ticked all the boxes, you've done all the things that you have to do. So then that only leaves it up to maybe 1 or 2 mistakes that you've made in the description of the words. Okay, so you have to include a verb. Once again, yeah, you have to know what a verb is. You have to know what a werkwoord is. So this is how important taal is for you to master. This is how important it is for you to know your language rules throughout paper 1. And paper 2 as well, it's a given. But paper 1, extremely important to know because it is the language paper. So don't forget, don't just think that only in section C I have to start thinking about language. We have to know all the woordsoorte. So that book that you have that explains all the rules and regulations for Afrikaans, go through that every day. Make sure you know what's werkwoorde, bywoorde, selfstandige naamwoorde, all those things. Make sure you know what it is because somewhere in the paper they're going to mention that. So if you don't know what werkwoorde is, this already makes you stressed out about this question and it doesn't have to. Okay. Then, skryf die opsomming puntsgewys in volsinne. Okay? So, 1 per point, and this is normally something that all the papers have, so you have to write it in sentences under each other, not in one paragraph. Okay, so puntsgewys means like this is set out, not in a paragraph. Nommer die wenke 1 tot 5. Okay, so even though it says puntsgewys just means under one another, not in a paragraph. You have to number it. So you can't use bullets as we did here. You have to number it number 1 to 5. So if you didn't do this, you lose a mark. And you can't afford to lose that mark. It says you have to number it. Sometimes it says you have to use bullet points. Then you use bullet points. For now, it says number 1 to 5. Sorry about that. Okay, I want to make sure that I've started with a verb every time. Okay, so I have my verb. Then I have my wenk about writing a speech and I have the reason. So I know I'm going to give the instructions and I'm going to give the reason. So I've ticked all those boxes. I'm not going to lose unnecessary marks. Okay, but I've explained to you there's a second set of rules that I also have to go through. Okay, so I read that. I don't think during the first set of rules, I'm not going to go do the rest. Okay, need to read all the instructions. So it says, remember, skryf 'n woordtelling. So that is something that was not said in the first instructions. I need to include a word count. If you don't include a word count, 1 mark is deducted. And can you afford to lose 1 mark? Definitely not. Moenie volsinne direk uit die teks haal nie. Okay, it's something that was said in the previous instructions, but I'm reminded I mustn't have direct words. Jy sal gepenaliseer word as jou opsomming te kort. Okay, so I have to have a minimum of 60 words and a maximum of 80 words. So if I range between those two, I am safe. So I know now there is a maximum number of words and a minimum number of words. Elke hoofpunt moet slegs een sin bevat. So I can't write the wenk and the reason as two separate sentences. I have to have one sentence explaining the wenk and the reason, and I have to start with a werkwoord. I know that instruction now. Beplan jou opsomming voordat jy dit begin. So I have to have a planning. That's why I have the table. Trek 'n streep deur jou beplanning. Okay, you need to read this. You need to know this. If you don't draw a line through your summary, and that's something so silly, it's literally taking a ruler, drawing a line through your summary. It's not a difficult thing to do, but that line can cost you 1 mark. Once again, we cannot afford to lose marks. So, for instance, if you don't have a woordtelling, you don't have a word count, you haven't drawn a line through the summary, which is two things that you don't even have to use your brain for, because hopefully you know how to count, you know how to draw a line, two skills that you've learned in grade 1. If you don't have those two things, you lose 2 marks. Then you start off with 8 out of 10 already, and it's for something so silly. So do you see how important it is to really go through your instructions, make sure you've done everything that is required of you? Okay, so in my table, I've just added the word count to make sure that I have considered the amount of words. So what I like to do, and maybe this isn't for you, but I think it's a very good idea to start off with, to make sure that your planning already has the amount of words and you don't have to take words out or add words in the end. I like to divide my amount of words that I need. So I took 70 because that's the middle. Remember, the minimum was 60, the maximum was 80. So I divided 5 into 70 to make sure that I have more or less 14 words per wenk. Okay, but now you shouldn't stress if maybe you have 16 or 17 words, because remember, you can have a maximum of 80. And you shouldn't stress if you maybe have 7 words for one of the reasons, because you have a minimum of 60. That's why I like to take 70, the middle, as my target. Okay, but if you now go through and you keep having 7 out of 14 words, then you should start worrying. But if it's 1 or 2 words over or under 14, then you shouldn't stress. Then you can tick it off as it is fine. Okay, so now we start. So we know our instruction. We've drawn our little table to ensure that we've included everything in our planning, and now you can start reading. The majority of the pieces that they're going to give you is either going to have the amount of whatever that you have to summarize, like for example this one, 1 2 3 4 5, so there's 5 paragraphs. So normally this will indicate that there will be 1 point out of each paragraph. If there is 6 paragraphs, that means either they had an introduction that introduces the piece, which in the introduction you will not get a fact, or it has a conclusion that will not have a fact. So you can just read through it and make sure. But normally it will have the amount of facts that you need to get. So you obviously need to get 1 fact out of each paragraph. Okay, because if you're going to get 2 facts out of 1 paragraph, that means that it will more than likely be the same fact, and you can't get 2 marks for saying the same thing. So try and go through every paragraph to get 1 fact out of a paragraph. And if the paragraphs are as short as these ones, definitely only 1 fact out of a paragraph. Okay, so let's read the first paragraph to see where the fact lies. Hoe jy begin is seker die belangrikste punt. Okay, yes, it tells you that the beginning is very important, but doesn't give us a fact on how to write a speech. Jy wil hê dat die gehoor verder as net jou eerste sin moet lees. Okay, so you want people to read your whole speech, but still doesn't give us a fact. Om die doel te bereik, moet jy baie tyd aan 'n treffende inleiding spandeer. Okay, so your introduction must be clear and grasp the attention of your audience. Okay, treffende inleiding. Jy kan jou eie ervaring of aanhalings gebruik om jou gehoor se aandag te trek. Okay. So let's go to our little planning form. Now we start filling in this table. So start with the werkwoord skryf. Okay, skryf we know is a werkwoord. 'n Treffende inleiding om jou doel te bereik. Okay, so we write a clear introduction. Om die gehoor se aandag te trek. So remember, this has to be one sentence. So it must read as one sentence. So I need a word that links the wenk to the reason. And in this case, my word is om. Okay, so that's the word that links the two to make it a complete sentence. So let me read the sentence again. Skryf 'n treffende aanleiding om jou doel te bereik om die gehoor se aandag te trek. Okay? Have a full sentence and it is 16 words. So yes, it is 2 more than I'm supposed to have, but I can live with that. As I said, 1 or 2 more isn't a train smash. So first one done. Second paragraph. As jy jou onderwerp aankondig, sal jou gehoor en onderwyser beoordelaar weet waaroor jy gaan praat. Okay, so they have to know what you're talking about. So this is a reason, knowing what someone is talking about, you have to do something to know that what they're talking about. So we can highlight this as a reason. So guys, should have mentioned this in the beginning. So if you come across the information that is relevant to your summary, highlight it so that you are focused on that specific thing and you can change it around to do your summary. Jy moet jou onderwerp in die tweede paragraaf aankondig. Okay, so you have to give, you have to mention your topic in the second paragraph. So first is your introduction, then you have to mention what you are talking about. Okay, so I said kondig. Kondig is a noun, so that's a werkwoord. I've started with a werkwoord. Jou onderwerp in die tweede deel aan. Okay, sorry about that typo. It's because it's in Afrikaans. Okay, deel, so it has to be D-E-E-L. Sorry about that. Om jou onderwyser of beoordelaar in die lig waaroor jy praat. In te lig waaroor jy praat. Okay? So because that is two different entities, so it's your teacher or the person who is going to adjudicate you, your adjudicator or the teacher, that counts as one word. Okay, because it's just saying this or this. Okay, so it counts as one word if you make, like for example, if you say vegetables, fruit. Okay, so if in the sentence you can replace vegetables with fruit or fruit with vegetables, then it counts as one word. So normally divided by that little, is it an asterisk? Not sure. Okay, but that little side line. Okay, if it's divided like that, so you can replace in the sentence the two words, then it counts as one word. So if we go and we count our amount of words, we see it's 17 words. Now that is 3 more than the amount that you need. So now you can think, okay, I'm just going to put a little star at this fact. Maybe later on when I see, okay, I've used too much words, this is the sentence that I can go to make a little bit shorter. Okay, but not yet. We're not stressed yet because we still need 3 facts. So we just put a little star there and you think, okay, I can go back to this one. Cool. Nou, in die inhoud van 'n goeie toespraak het gewoonlik 3 argumente. reg deur jou toespraak moet jy jou argument ondersteun. Okay, so we have to reference whatever we say. Om te wys dat jou toespraak struktuur het. Okay, so yeah, we have a fact and we have a reason in this sentence. So already we can say, okay, we've got this one. Okay. Oh, where is that one? Oh dear. Okay, I think I've included it in the next one. So let's go through to 4. I'll quickly read 4 and then we can do 3 and 4 together. 'n Spesialis op 'n gebied is gewoonlik 'n goeie bron. Jy moet die mense oortuig om jou argument te glo. So you must let them believe what you are saying. Hulle sal jou makliker glo as 'n slim persoon ook so dink. Die moeilikste deel van die skryfproses is om goeie bronne te kry. So you have to get a good source that helps to support your argument. Okay, so we know. So we've done both. Okay, so steun jou argument om struktuur te wys. Okay, so remember it said you have to have a good argument to show the structure of your piece. And if we read this one, we see, oh, it only has 7 words. But we see now, oh, okay, that's not too down from what we want. But we remember that in the previous one, we had 3 more. So now we are still fine. Okay, we've made up those amounts of words that we used more in the previous 2 pieces. So 7 is fine. Then the next one, vind goeie bronne. Remember, we had to have good support for our argument. Om jou argument te steun, to support our argument. Okay, so throughout these reasonings, we've used words that link those two so that we can have a full sentence. We've started with a verb every single time. We must make sure that those words are all verbs. Skryf, kondig, steun, vind. All of them we know are verbs, werkwoorde, because we know what a werkwoord is. We're still on track with our amounts of words, and we've used a linking word to make sure that it's one sentence. Okay, last one. Ten slotte wil jy die gehoor iets gee om oor te dink, so we want to give them something to think about. Vir hierdie rede moet jy 'n samevatting van al jou argumente gee om jou gehoor te herinner waaroor jou toespraak gaan. So why do we want to give them something to think about? To remind them what we are talking about. Okay, so gee werkwoord, jou gehoor iets om aan te dink om jou hoofgedagtes op te som. Okay, so we've given the wenk and the reason, and oh, for the first time we actually have exactly 14 words. So if you are not very mathematically inclined, you are scared you're going to make a mistake, use a calculator. You can have a calculator with you in the exam. It's not like it's going to do anything for you. Tally the amount of words. We have 62. Our minimum is 60. Maximum is 80. So we don't have more than 80, don't have less than 60. Our amount of words is correct. So we don't have to go and look at the second reason that we were a little bit concerned about, or the ones that have less words. Okay, so we are fine with that. So we are fine with everything. Now, remember, you have to draw a line through it. This is very important, guys. It's something that you guys always forget. We have to draw a line through our planning. If it says that in the instructions, you have to do it. Doesn't say that in the instructions, it's fine. But if it says that, we have to draw a line through it. Because what is going to happen? If you do not draw a line through it, they're going to think this is your final draft and they're going to mark it. And you don't want them to mark this because it's not set as it should be. Line by line, there's no heading, all those things. Okay, so draw the line through it. Remember that. Okay, so now we just want to make sure, now we write our final draft. We are happy with our planning, we have the right amount of words, we've used werkwoorde, drawn a line through, we now write. So you write your final draft as you should. So you give it a heading, just use the heading of the piece, of the paragraph that you have to read. Use that heading. You're allowed to do that. Because it doesn't say you must make your own heading. If it says that in the instructions, you must make your own heading. But it doesn't say that, so we have a little heading. Have 5 points. You've written everything just like that from the planning. So you've written everything. And you've included the amount of words. Now, go through your instructions to make sure that you've done everything. Yes, this takes a little bit more time, but it's fine. You have a little bit more time because this is not going to take you very long to do. So let's just go through, make sure. Or you can leave it to the end if you have time. At the end of your paper, go back and make sure that you followed all the instructions. Okay. So we've read the piece. We've done 5 finger, yes. We've done it in our own words. And we've given a reason. We've done that. Begin elke keer met 'n werkwoord. Go back, make sure all your beginning, your first word in your sentence is a verb. We've done that. Okay? Puntsgewys and 5 vol sinne. We've used full sentences, 70 words. Okay, we've used 62, but we know that that's a minimum, but we've done that. And nommer 1 tot 5. Maybe you forgot to number it. You've just quickly written your sentences, thought you're going to run out of time. You haven't numbered the sentences. Make sure that you've numbered them. Okay, then we've written word counts at the end. Done that. Full sinne. We've done that. We have more than 60 words. Have that. We have 1 sentence. We've done a planning. We've drawn a line through it. Okay, so we are happy. Without, if you followed all the instructions, you have the right amount of sentences, you are fine. Now, hopefully, you've just written things that actually make sense. But hopefully, you can already do that. Okay, so I'm going to just go through this guideline. So this is the guideline that the examiner will use to examine your summary. So you can have more or less a feel of what they deduct marks for and what they don't. And you will see in this guideline how important it is to follow the instructions. I cannot stress this enough. Okay. So it says, sinne moet van 1 tot 5 genommer word. Geen kolpunte mag gebruik word nie. So, you're not allowed to use bullets because as I said to you, it's set there in the instructions, number 1 to 5. If you haven't done this, they're going to deduct a mark. Okay. 'n sin moet 'n werkwoord bevat. Okay. So, they've given a mark for beginning with that verb. Elke punt sal sin bevat 2 feite. Okay, so 2 facts. So you remember you give the fact and you give the reason. So it has to have 2. As die opsommingssin dus gedeeltelik korrek is, word 1 punt gegee. So if you haven't given a fact and the reason, they're going to give you 1 mark instead of 2. So you've lost 50% of your marks per point. Okay, so if you haven't done that little table, ensuring that you have both, you're going to lose 1 mark. 1 feit mag nie oor 2 punte strek nie. So remember I said to you, use 1 paragraph per fact. So you can't have the same fact in 2 points. Then you're only going to get 1 mark. Voegwoorde moet gebruik word om die 2 feite te bind. Okay? So you need to use those words to link the 2. Remember, it must read as 1 sentence. So remember, we used in the majority of the sentence. You can use the same linking word. That's fine. It doesn't say you have to use different linking words. So if you use the same linking word, if you have 1 to combine the 2 sentences, you are fine. Een van die dele van die feitsin kan 'n infinitief wees. Okay, that's not, yes, that's a given. It can be an infinitive. It's fine. Okay. Indien al 5 sinne korrek is, behaal die kandidaat 10 uit 10. So if all 5 of your sentences are correct, start with the verb, they have a linking word, they have 1 fact, and one reason per sentence, you get 10 out of 10. It says that here. So if it's fine, you get 10 out of 10. Indien kandidaat 2 sinne per punt skryf, word slegs 1 sin gemerk. So, if you haven't read the instructions and you haven't read that there's only 1 sentence per point, you lose 50% of your marks per sentence. So you start off with 5 out of 10 if you've written 2 sentences per line, because it says 1 sentence. Sinne mag nie direk uit die teks gehaal word nie, maar kandidate mag woorde, frases uit die teks gebruik. So it says, can't have direct quote out of the text, but you can use the words in the text, which means you just have to change the sentence a bit in order to make it your own. Okay, so it doesn't mean you have to come up with a completely new sentence. No, you need to use the information in the sentence, but make it your own. Taalfoute word nie gepenaliseer nie, okay? So if you like a language error in there, it doesn't matter. You don't get penalized for this because this is not the language section. Okay. Elke sin moet egter die betrokke feit of hoofgedagte korrek communicate. Okay, so you just have to understand the sentence. So you can't just go and write random words and expect marks. No, it just has to make sense. Okay, so it says spelfoute word nie gepenaliseer nie. So if you've spelled something incorrectly, that doesn't matter. But you have to understand what they say. Okay. Minus 1/2 vir elke direkte aanhaling. So if you use direct speech, you lose 1/2 mark. So don't do that. Minus 1 as die kandidaat nie woordtelling het nie. So there it is. You lose 1 mark if you don't have a word count. Something so silly. Okay, you lose 1 mark. Minus 1 as daar minder as 60 of meer as 80 woorde is. So if you used more or less words that you're supposed to, you lose 1 mark. Can't do that. Lidwoorde, tel is deel van die woordtelling. So even if you use D or A, you use the word count. Okay, so all your words count, except like I said to you, if you have this or this, then it doesn't count, then it counts as 1. Minus 1 as die aantal woorde nie korrek neergeskryf is nie. So if you lied, you also lose 1. So if you've now lied, so you wrote the incorrect number of words and you have more than 60, less than 60 or more than 80 words, you lose 2 marks for being dishonest and for having more or less words. Beplanning moet doodgetrek word. So if it isn't, there's a line not through the planning, you lose 1 mark. Okay. Cool, guys. So you see how easy it is to do the summary, but also how easy it is to lose marks in the summary. Make sure that you read the instructions. Make sure that you've done everything that they ask to ensure that you get full marks for the summary. It's not difficult to get full marks, but it's also easy to lose the marks. Okay, so go through your summary, see what you can better on, and just practice. It's the only way that you can know how to do the summary. It's not something you can learn off by heart because, as I explained to you, the instructions can change from year to year. So don't think you can learn the instructions and do it. That's not what it's about. It's about following instructions and practicing it constantly. Okay, thank you very much for listening, guys. So that is the end of the video. Please make sure that you've completed everything up until now. So tomorrow is Saturday, so you don't have to work on a Saturday. I'm not gonna expect you to work on a Saturday on this. So on Monday, please make sure that you do section C. When you wake up, you don't have nothing to do, please complete section C. Then I'll post the video on section C on Monday so that you can go through that again. Cool. Have a nice day.